Welcome everyone to the first event of the 2025 South Florida HubSpot User Group, which is currently hosted by Aptitude and Diaz Cooper out of South Florida. So today we've got a really exciting kind of session for you here. We're going to be talking about custom portals, kind of some of the do's and don'ts and how to really turn your portal into a growth engine using some of HubSpot's new AI features. So excited to share that with you all here. We'll move forward here to introduce our lovely panelists today. So, hi, I am Brian Byler. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here at Aptitude. I'm joined by Omi Diaz Cooper. She is the CEO of Diaz and Cooper, as well as M. Wingrove, our Chief Experience Officer here at Aptitude. They will be leading most of the content today, walking us through some live demos, some use cases, and I'll be kind of moderating and asking questions as we go through. We're going to start off here today talking about why some portals fail. I think for me, other than like not having one, it's probably the biggest thing that we see here. But Em, why don't you kind of share some of the things you're seeing that are holding folks back?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, when you think about consumers today, I know a lot of us are in the business to business world, but consumers, we have this bar that we have to meet that is very high, where we're expecting everyone to know who we are. We're expecting everyone to have every piece of information, every detail, know who we are, and provide the most relevant digital experiences. Well, portals that don't do that don't tend to work out very well. Mm-hmm. The other thing I was thinking about too is even some of the apps like my bank or some of the most important things that I need to log into, that is the most critical information about me. Like sometimes I get those logins wrong. Like the digital lift of actually going in and logging in, putting your name and your password. Hopefully you get it right. If there's not something behind that that's valuable, you're probably not going to log in. And so that's, what we see most often. And then, the relevancy comes from, can the content be personalized to me, M. Wingrove, but also, is it personalized right now? Like, is it real-time data that is accurate right now? Because going into a portal and recognizing that something is actually out of date or inaccurate, I'm not going to want to log back in. So those are some of the things that we see. I think like on the revenue side, depending on what you're using your portal for, like if you want to see, deals that you're running, if like a partner portal or something, cross-sell, upsell, support like that, you're going to have a hard time. Omi, do you see anything on your end?
Absolutely. So in addition to everything that you talked about from a personalization standpoint, it's also the usability of the portal. Like how easy is it to navigate? Is the design attractive? Is it tailored, and easy to find the information that I want? Because at the end of the day, if it's not useful and easy for people, they're not going to bother to log in. So today we're going to skip a lot of the theory and we're going to show you how to make these better. Not only by going from static to dynamic, but also how to implement AI to give consumers and users the experience that they want. So Em, take it away.
All right, let's start with the basics here. So private content in HubSpot, it's really just a setting that allows you to put content behind a wall. And I'll show you in a minute, like how you want, what you want that wall to look like rather. But basically it's logging into something based off of your role, which I'll show you how to set the access rules, where there's resources, content, maybe it's products, maybe it's reports, maybe it's data or assets that are relevant to me. It's all behind that wall. And as you can see here on the slide, this is a nice little portal we got going on here where you can go to different widgets and actually get some use out of it. So I'm going to pop over. I'm doing a live demo. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm doing it anyways. I just want to show you guys that in the settings, you go over to content, you go into private content, and then you can see sort of just like the basic config here. So of course you can add your company name that will appear on the registration and the login pages and emails. What are those? They're right here. I'll show you in just a second. You can also add like your webmaster or some sort of a support resource that will be on every page so that people can access that person in case there's issues. Speaking of issues, I'll pop down here to the activity log. You can download any login of all time. Like you've got the full log there. So that's been helpful. And then for sign-in options, like I was saying earlier, you can kind of define what you want that wall to look like, where you're going to put your content behind. The standard is just you set up your own, you register yourself for your own, you set your password, you set your login, all of that. We love a social sign-on option, so you can do it straight through Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever your social platforms are. And then there's also a passwordless authentication method where you can send someone like a one-time magic link. I'm sure you've experienced that use case as like a consumer, like, oh, we'll send you the one-time link. So that's just some of the basics. Now let's talk about emails. So they have all of this baked in. at the same time, you can still create it and make it as customized as you want, but this is just baked in. I didn't do anything here. This is, HubSpot out of the box helping me out. So you have an email for the registration invitation, which comes at the point of publishing the page that has the settings toggled on. I'll show you that in a second as well. You also got the password confirmation email. Cool, it's been changed, the password reset email. You can also send follow-up emails for folks who haven't completed their registration. So just more mechanisms to try and drive some adoption there. And then you have the pages element. So where do you actually go to set your registration and set that up? What happens if your password is wrong or you aren't actually an Access member? Then you've got your sign in, sign out, password reset. And then this is fun because you can actually decide to craft your own journey. What are the destinations you want people to go to after they've registered? Cool, you got your login set up. What's the first page you want them to go to? Or after they sign in or sign out, how would you like to craft that journey? Which I absolutely love that HubSpot gives you that option out of the box and you don't have to come up with it on your own. So that's some of the basics here. And then let me show you this test page that I made. Where I just cloned Aptitude 8's career page. My vision is that what if it goes beyond just, applying for a job? What if it's like, I want to track my application. I want to see what benefits, like if I'm hired, what are my benefits or what is my employee documentation? Some like typical onboarding type vision is what I had here. But I just want to show you in the settings, you go to audience access, you click on access group membership required. You're like, oh, how did this get here? I added it because you just click create a new access group. And then it's not a list, but it behaves like one, like you set the same filters just like you would on a list. So pretty cool there. And then, like I said, once you publish this, that's when we go back to the emails. Because once it's published, it's going to register like, hey, this person is on the list. They have access. Let's let them know that they have access by asking them to start their login process. So that's kind of the basics there. It's gated resources, gives you the ability to control the journey there a little bit. And that's all good and well. What types of content are in there, right? So when we think about static content, it's content that doesn't really change. So I'll show you just really quick. This is a rich text box. It's static. It doesn't change unless I decide to manually come in here and change it. And speaking of like, I'm doing it, well, I'm on the marketing team and I have the permissions to do that. So one of the downsides of the static content is if you're in sales, if you're in partnerships and you don't have the right permissions in HubSpot, you can't go in here and edit pages. I know you can schedule updates to pages, but that's still manual. It's just changing like when the update happens. So it's cool that we have this. But like I said earlier, like Omi was saying earlier, if it's not really valuable content behind that login, people are probably not going to log in. So the static content is nice, but we can take things a step further to dynamic. Omi, you got anything? You got any?
No, I was just going to say, you're right. Like from a UX perspective, if it's static, it gets stale pretty fast. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we can make it more dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think
as we're getting into it, team, just from my understanding, selfishly, how do you define static versus dynamic? That concept may be new to some folks.
Yeah. So dynamic means that the source of the data, as it changes on that page. So it is subject to change based off of, I don't know, think of any like trigger you'd have for a workflow or, a property changes. That's dynamic content. And that's going to be that accurate information that I was talking about earlier, making sure that you're not logging into something that's super out of date, because that's not helpful. The coolest thing about all of this is that you're literally connecting your CRM to your CMS. It sounds simple as I say the words, but literally think of everything in your CRM. All of that data, how it's architected, the associate, all of that can be pushed into your CMS, right? To create a digital experience. I'm like contacts, companies, deals, even Service Hub stuff, which I know Omi's going to touch on in a bit, even custom objects, which I'll demonstrate here in a minute. But it's connecting the whole thing. Like I've worked with WordPress and Webflow and all these other CMS tools. Is there a way to get CRM data onto those pages? Yes, but it requires integrations, developers, separate tools, and it's still not as efficient as you'd probably like. And it's probably a little bit, I guess, not as stable, right? It's going to require a lot of updates. This is all built in. It's all in one. I rave about it because this is the coolest thing. As a marketer at my core, but also an ops person, this is just the coming together of the two coolest things ever. Anything in your CRM can go onto your CMS. And then we talk about relevance. Well, yeah, of course, all of that CRM data is stuff that is going to be important for specific audience members to take a look at. So, like I said, real-time data, forms, integrations, different objects, anything that's workflow related, right? So imagine you've got a contact who comes in, they come in through a job application, right? Well, if their contact type is candidate, then, and they're on this page, then show them things that are relevant to this specific candidate. So it's, and like I said earlier, with onboarding, with any company that does any sort of subscription management, these are going to be excellent use cases for dynamic portals, especially when you consider the customer component and the agents that Omi is going to talk about here in a minute. But I do want to show you something pretty cool. So like I said earlier, I've got this vision for my like career center, not just a careers page. One of the things that I have on here is this is a dynamic content module. And it's powered by Hubble. Hubble is just the backend language in HubSpot. And it's looking for things like, is this person on the access list? If yes, show this. Does this person have XYZ property filled out with this specific value? If yes, then show this. And so what we have here is just jobs. This is a HubSpot solutions consultant role that we had formerly had on our website. As you can see here, it's all written out. Great. Where's that coming from? I will show you. It is coming from, what you're looking at here is a custom object record that we created for jobs. All the stuff you see here on the left side, it's the same exact information that's here. So what does that mean? It means I don't have to go into the web page to change anything. I don't have to have the right permissions. If I want to change something, which I'm going to do a fun little example, I just added an extra T. You can see, I think on the bottom of my screen, it said saved, just like any other record update. Now I'm going to go back to this page. I refresh it. Let's see if it picked up my extra T. Here we go. Anytime I make a change to something in that contact record, it's going to display on this page. And it doesn't just have to be me manually making that change to the contact record. Like I said earlier, with workflows, I can change data on records with workflows. And as those things change, so will your page. I think this is the coolest thing ever. And by the way, it's a custom object that I showed you, but you can also do this with HubDB tables. It just depends on the use case. In our case, we wanted to be able to report on the custom objects. As you know, you can do all kinds of custom reporting in HubSpot. It's not as easy to do that on HubDB tables, but HubDB tables offer different benefits. Like if you have more content that's a little bit more structured, you've got like lots of products or lots of SKUs, things like that. HubDB could be a better option there. But for us, we used custom objects. And as you can see, any change you make, don't even have to touch the website. It just happens. I absolutely love this. What else was I going to show you guys? I also have, I created a test contact for myself, and I've got, like I mentioned, the contact type is job applicant. And so because of that data point, right, and that custom module that you're seeing, and any other future custom module that I build, that's the only one that I have for the demo purposes today. Like if I have on that contact record that I'm a job applicant and my status is hired and I have my signed employee documentation, and that's all on my contact record. Remember, you can save files as properties, you can save links on properties, that can all be here, all of it. So just to sort of get your wheels turning on the possibilities, it takes this like, web piece and this operations piece, blends it together, and it allows you to have new levels of creativity as a marketer, right? As someone who's managing a website, this is pretty cool stuff. So I'm gonna pop back over here. We've got a nice screenshot here just demonstrating kind of the same thing here, that the contact record, or any record really, is what's going to power that dynamic experience so long as you've got your module set up. And the module setting up is not terribly difficult. Once you have one, you can if you want to work with GPT, definitely be very, very careful and test a lot. But once you have one, you can sort of iterate on. It depends on your experience level and what you're comfortable with. But I know I will go in there and make some changes to the code, see what happens, test it out. But yeah, so that's sort of how the dynamic content works. I want to take it a step further though, because that's all good and well, and the objects are cool, that's great. But what about some of the features within Service Hub, where the agent stuff that's coming out, the customer agent, people are just starting to scratch the surface. Now my wheels are turning on. How can I get this agent inside of a portal? Omi, help us out.
Absolutely. I do want to point out if you're a larger organization, you want to think about what kind of permissions you give people regarding the data that displays on the pages. There's the good side of it, which is like, for example, someone in the HR department who has zero coding ability can still put in a job in the CRM side and have it posted. But again, you're going to want to be cognizant of who's allowed to do that. Have some rules around that.
Oh,
So
sure.
I talk about that because you also have to think about rules when it comes to any type of AI, right? So I first want to talk about what are agents? What is these AI helpers that we're talking about? So they're basically virtual assistants that are built directly into HubSpot, into Service Hub, and they can handle all kinds of customer conversations around the clock. But specific to customer portal, so I'm thinking about things like maybe membership portal, maybe it's a deep knowledge base that requires a login, maybe it's some sort of an e-commerce portal, right? In these cases, these agents can be amazing. So the customer agent specifically is the front line. So that's the one that is actively engaging in real time with users. They can answer questions, they can resolve issues, it can provide next step guidance right on the spot. And there's another behind the scenes agent that I'm going to talk about, which is the knowledge base agent. Now, as of when we prepared this presentation, that was still in private beta. If you want to look at it, I would highly recommend checking it out because your knowledge base agent is going to be working in the background. It's going to analyze gaps. It's going to help generate and improve articles, and it's going to help keep your resources current. So unlike basic or generic chat bots, these agents inside of HubSpot are going to be trained specifically on your business content. So it's going to be your knowledge base articles, your product information, your policies, your FAQs, and as Emily pointed out earlier, the information in your CRM and your database, right? So the customer agent can engage with customers across multiple channels. It can do chat, it can do email, it can do WhatsApp, et cetera, et cetera. But what makes it really, really powerful is its ability to provide accurate and contextual responses while also knowing how to escalate more complex features or more complex issues rather to a human, right? So HubSpot's knowledge base agent on the other side is designed to leverage your knowledge base content and ticket history and be able to create a dramatically better self-service and learning experience, right? And the cool thing about both of these is that it delivers very fast time to value. Most organizations can deploy a basic agent configuration in under 15 minutes. So moving on to the next slide.
I'm over here thinking about a dynamic portal where I can go in and look at all my tickets that I've submitted, chat with the agent. If I need to route it to a human, I mean, honestly, with the agent, with everything you're telling me, I don't think you need to route it to a human if it has access to all of that information. But yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, that's part of the point is trying to get people like their basic information out of the way and answered quickly, and only escalate if it's something really, really complex, in which case you do want to route it to a human, right? So how do we use agents in real life? So if it's something like a membership or a subscription or even an e-commerce type of situation, you can handle renewals, upgrade, payment questions, everything from onboarding to support and renewals. So specifically, let's say in a membership portal, it's a perfect opportunity to use an agent. So for example, if you sell courses, and you have all of your course material as part of your database, right? And your FAQs are stored in your knowledge base. Your customer agent can facilitate renewals. So for example, a member can ask about when is their renewal date. They can ask about what payment methods you offer, or how to upgrade or downgrade or change their membership in some way. The agent can guide members through those subscription changes using HubSpot's payment integration. Another way that I like to use it is instant course support. So again, think about, you have a bunch of courses. The agent can answer common questions about schedules or completion requirements or even technical issues without requiring human intervention. Another really good use case for it would be accessing product documentation. So if you're in an e-commerce situation and you have all these common questions about what your product is, they can access the documentation, troubleshooting guides, and help them resolve issues with their purchase. A really nice use case for it back at the course use case would be using portal data and enrollment history. Right? The agent can provide personalized recommendations for your next course. So if you have like a series of courses and, the agent knows that you've already taken course A, and then it can give the choices of like, oh, let me recommend to you course B or C, that might be the next logical choice. And so that's a really great way for reminding members about what else you have available, as well as sending them recommendations for other courses or upcoming sessions of something. So I think it's a really powerful use case for that. Has anybody tried using agents for any of these use cases? Even a simple one like maybe password change, password reset is something that that customer agent can also help with. I would love to hear if anyone has tried these, and if not, maybe you might have some use cases.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. I will tell you this, I'm flashing back only to, I don't know, not even that long ago, maybe like 5 years ago, to trying with my marketing team to build a recommendation engine on my own. And now you just have the agent actually assess all of your materials, and you don't need to have a handmade developer built recommendation engine. And the fact that it's like, I'm thinking about a recommendation engine like on your website, this is actually in real time as you're talking to somebody. And it's personalized to you. So that's a great use case for sure. And, I talked earlier about this high bar that we have to meet, as business owners and leaders to try to get our customers in a place where they're feeling the same thing that they might feel from like a B2C provider. Like your Bank of America is going to give you the best personalized experience because they're massive, right? But as consumers, we expect that. So from a customer experience perspective, I mean, this really does help us get to that bar a lot faster. You're not waiting. You're not, getting passed around. You're getting the information right away, and it's for you, not necessarily for some other random user, right? You're logged in as yourself. And like we were talking earlier about, the whole CRM is connected. So you've got the agent who's going to give you all this helpful, relevant information. You also have your own, individual data coming through as needed. So excellent use cases for plugging this in. To be honest with you, I hadn't even thought about the agent inside of a portal until we started planning this webinar, and my, mind was blown.
Cool.
Jeffrey's got a comment.
And
Jeffrey's got a comment in the chat there. Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you bring up a really good point that the data has to be, and the content has to be up to date. So if we go on to the next slide, I'm going to touch on that in a second, but having the content be in your database and your CRM and have that pull in versus having it be static content that like a developer or somebody with CMS access has to update is one of the most powerful reasons for using the dynamic aspect that Emily was talking about before. Right. So with anything, we always want to know how well our AI is working, how well our agents are doing. So HubSpot does provide really robust reporting and analytics for your customer agent activity. So for example, you can monitor real-time resolution and deflection rates. So how many times did the agent actually answer the question versus how many times did it have to deflect it to someone else, to either a human or a form or a phone number or whatever the case might be in your case. It can also track conversation escalations and handoffs, and it can let you see what platforms that the agents are active in are driving the most value. So whether that's chat or email or WhatsApp, which one of those is driving the most value. But for portals, the standout feature in my book is the knowledge gap identification, right? And this is one of the ways that HubSpot agents are helping you to make sure that that content is up to date. So you can see it there on the screenshot in the front. What this panel shows you is what questions the agent couldn't answer, so that it spotlights opportunities for you to enrich your knowledge base and train the system. And the knowledge base agent can help enrich that data for you. So it's going to help you keep that data up to date and accurate. So these types of analytics are, of course, also complemented by customer satisfaction metrics like CSAT, et cetera, so that you can directly link the agent performance to customer sentiment. So performance trends are also available, and historical insights, and these are revealing how your AI support can evolve over time. So these tools really empower you to optimize automation, improve self-service, and strengthen the ROI and the usability and value to the user of your portal.
Omi, question for you. Are the screenshots on this slide, they're out of the box?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, those are out of the box. There is a reporting tool specifically for the agents, and obviously, like with any dashboard, you can customize it, but it's readily available.
Amazing. And then you can also pair this reporting with, like I mentioned earlier, with your custom objects that might be ported into your CMS pages. You can report on that as well. So you can see how things are performing, what people are accessing, along with how the agent is able to help. Byler, I saw you posted a question in the chat from LinkedIn. Could you use an agent to monitor last updated date on your content, so you could notify folks that, the content might be aging or out of date, take some action and get this thing updated? I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I can tell you this: you could probably figure that out with a workflow or a custom coded action.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because that data is inside of HubSpot, and workflows and custom coded actions are designed to grab that and help you take action. And even if it was simple as, if last updated is X days before whatever, just create a task for the appropriate person. I mean, that's a simple use case, but it would be a nice little workaround.
Yeah, I also know that there are some tools coming up that are going to be able to help with this. I can't really talk about what they are, but stay tuned after Inbound, because all I have to say is, if you think the agents are cool now, they're going to be wow coming up. So a lot of these things are going to be a lot even easier to do than they currently are today. And you won't necessarily need to do any kind of custom coding or, any, workflows or anything like that. You're just going to be able to ask your tool.
Omi, I love that you've just dropped the big teaser for HubSpot Inbound product updates, because I mean, as partners, as you know, we get a little bit of an early access, and my goodness, you guys are going to die when you see all of the unveils at Inbound.
Yeah, if you all are not planning, whoever is on the session and is not planning on going to Inbound, you need to be following it online and catch all of the after sessions. I'm sure all of us are going to have all kinds of updates for you all, because yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'll be there. Anyone else going? All right, Darcy's going to be there. Anyone else from the group going?
Making the trek all the way to the West Coast.
Jordan, yeah. Yeah, it's a bigger trek for me on the East Coast this time, but easy for some others. Yeah, a bunch of people are going. Excellent.
Heck yeah. I'll have to see you when I get there, Jeff.
All right.
All right.
Well, we have a few minutes for questions before we go to takeaways. If anyone has a question, just go ahead and drop it in the chat.
Okay, let's see. We've got Tori. We plan to use memberships as a dealer portal. We would like the logged in user to see the associated company's associated object properties, deals, tickets, leads, etc. Ideally, they would then be able to update certain files, such as changing the deal stage and add notes. Is that possible?
Would these be outside users or internal company users?
Outside users.
Okay. The only use case I've seen with something like that was with a form, where the form then wrote back to the database and then the database updated. I don't know if you all have seen a more technically advanced use case that would allow for some of that?
We built a use case, a memberships portal for courses that they were selling. And we, on the logged in page, you could see what courses you had signed up for. The course wasn't a custom object, but you could also see the instructor, and the instructor was a separate custom object that was associated to that course. So I do know that the association piece is possible.
Yeah, and the notes is possible via a form. Byler, you have something you want to add?
Yes, deal stages is possible to update via the UI in these custom portals. As Omi said, notes is also possible. The activity API functions a little bit differently since notes are on the activity API. So there's a little customization there, but both those things are possible. We will be sharing this stack, definitely. Great question, Darcy.
Yes, and we are going to be sharing the recording as well. It's going to go up on the brand new South Florida Hug landing page, which we will share with everyone that registered for today's session.
Let's run through some quick takeaways.
Let's do it. So first, thank you to our hosts today, Omi and Em. Thank you so much for your time and knowledge. It's been super impactful. Just kind of want to highlight 6 kind of main things we covered today. And also, if anyone has any questions or comments about these things, in the subsequent slide, we'll share how you can reach out to us and learn more. The first thing is just static portals are just not working anymore. They missed in a lot of key areas. We want that dynamic content, that dynamic personalization, right? Access to all of the data in your CRM, in your portal is exponentially more impactful. Private content, not just a starting point, right? It's actually a strategy. Your ability to gate content and expose the content you want to the users that you would like to, and not the content to those you don't want to, is just a really impactful part of your content strategy. We talked about custom object data and how that can drive those portals. Omi shared some great use cases along with custom portals and how to use AI as well. The service of integration, just connectivity. We talk about HubSpot being, used as a true customer data platform. And that was kind of the goal in our content today, is share like it is a customer data platform, and all of the pieces, all the modules kind of all work together for us. Some great use cases today for those AI agents. They're awesome today. And as Omi teased us a little bit, some really exciting updates coming here in the next couple weeks at Inbound. Those agents are going to be more powerful for us. And the last thing we touched on in a couple of the slides, just got to say it out loud again, user experience matters, right? User experience really matters. So the design and thought you put into your portal is really impactful. Certainly a functional portal could just have a simple UI, but take the extra time to make sure it's on brand and designed out in the Content Hub and some of those marketing pieces. But I think with these 6 things and your client portals, it's going to be hugely impactful for your business.
All right.
Excellent. All right. We got Max saying he loves summaries. Thank you, Max, for participating.
If you'd like to learn more, feel free to scan one or both these QR codes. This will take you to our respective websites. So again, thank you to Omi Diaz, CEO of Diaz Cooper here, as well as Em Wingrove, our Chief Experience Officer here at Aptitude. You're happy to learn more, answer any questions, it'll be a resource to you. And again, I want to extend a huge thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is our first virtual event as the new host of the South Florida, formerly Miami, now all of South Florida HubSpot user group. We're just so delighted to learn and grow with you, and thank you all. If there's any other questions, we'll hang on here for another 10 minutes or so to answer them here in the chat. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Byler. I just want to say one quick thing. We're a community.
Please.
Don't be a stranger. Seriously, reach out to us on LinkedIn. I'll give you my email address. I will meet with you whenever, and I'm sure Byler and Omi will do the same. We got to stick together. We're a community, and I'm so excited that we're taking over this hub.
And there are HubSpot user groups all over the country. In fact, internationally as well. So, I mean, ours is based in South Florida, but anyone can join our events, likewise the others. There are, several great hugs all around the country. So if there's one local to your area and you're remote to us, see if there happens to be one regional, good opportunity to connect with other HubSpot users, maybe local. We do a combination of live and in-person events.
We have a question from Tori. There's a separate customer portal that seems very limited and is just for tickets and displays the ticket status to customers who submit tickets, right? Is there a use case for customer portal, or just roll it into memberships portal? So yeah, you're right. The traditional use of customer portal is for ticketing and asking those types of questions. So it was envisioned originally as kind of a replacement for something like Zendesk, right? However, now with the addition of the AI tools, you can absolutely enhance that functionality by a lot. And again, dropping another tease, stay tuned because there are improvements coming.
If your use case is simple, like you could use the customer portal that's out of the box for sure. But if you want to pair it with other things and more data, that's when you want to start looking towards the memberships portal.
Yeah. And being able to customize it so much more.
Yeah, is that clear, Tori? I've confused the two myself as well. There's kind of two different offerings there, right? There's the one native to Service Hub, which is limited to tickets a little bit, like you said there. And there's building out what we talked about today is really a custom membership portal that is built in the content and marketing hubs.
Brian, thank you for sharing the events page and the chapters page.
Least I could do. One update that happened a few months ago, I think a lot of folks didn't realize, HubSpot didn't make a big splash about it, is memberships used to be gated under enterprise hubs. And unfortunately, it was a barrier to doing a lot of the things we talked about today. Memberships has now been moved to Content Pro. So if you've got a pro level subscription and content, I think Marketing Plus now, you do get access to memberships. And that's a really big shift there. So it's accessible to a lot more people at a more affordable price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right, Brian. It's available in Content Hub and Marketing Plus. Yeah, I love how HubSpot drops these little wins once in a while, and sometimes they make a big splash about them, and sometimes they're a little bit quieter. Great question, Christopher. Yes, we are going to be planning some in-person meetup events. We wanted to get this one out before inbound, and we know a lot of people are going to be meeting in inbound, but yeah, stay tuned because we will be having at least one event per quarter, and we are definitely planning on having an event be live. So yay.
And Suman asks, so is there any option customers can update tickets or upload files inside of that? I know you can put a form in there. I actually don't know the answer if you can actually interact with the ticket and change anything about it.
Update, yes. Uploading files, that would be custom. The native functionality is users, as Omi alluded to this a little bit earlier, but within a UI that is client facing, you can fill. It's basically a form fill where you can update, manipulate the data. Technically, with a form, you could have a field that allows file attachments. That's not going to out of the box get onto anything, though. You could potentially embed a support form there, which would be one way to get a file onto a ticket, but that wouldn't be apparent to the user directly in the interface.
Right. Like they could do it, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to see it after they uploaded it.
Right.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, Suman? Yeah, looks like it.
And Chris, or anyone else who joined us today, if you've got suggestions on our first in-person event, we'd look to do something in Q4 of this year. So open to suggestions and ideas. Feel free to drop us a note or add us on LinkedIn. Would love to do something fun together.
If you have a favorite venue in South Florida, Santa's Enchanted Forest. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get the jingle out of my head.
For the rest of the day, we're going to be singing Santa's Enchanted Forest.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, so anyone else have a different venue recommendation? Okay, layered HubSpot on NetSuite, and we're new to everything company-wide. Oh.
Ooh, with the out-of-the-box integration or a custom integration? We found that the out-of-the-box one is a bit limiting.
Yep.
So I'm just calling that out. Oh my God, Publix.
Yeah.
Yeah, we custom. That's great. Cool. Okay. Yeah, we do a lot of NetSuite work. It's probably one of the top ERPs to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you guys for getting a custom integration. That's very important data that a lot of folks don't actually get access to inside of their main CRM.
It's true. That integration's gotten a lot better, though. I think that's probably one of the better ones out of the box in the app marketplace. They continue to add to it and update it and keep it having great utility.
Christopher, what kind of use case are you thinking about for your portal? It's a while out, so maybe, customer interface for order tracking and issues. Yeah, that's actually a very classic and typical use case where you can use everything we've talked about today, right? Yeah, and I know you guys have built a bunch of these.
Absolutely. The order tracking is huge, right? Because that's coming straight from NetSuite, and so long as that information is, as long as your integration is in real time, right? Like if it's on a scheduled send, then of course there's going to be a delay there, but I mean, it's a perfect use case for it.
Mm-hmm.
We do
Yeah.
it so often, it's actually part of our interview. If you were to apply to be a solution architect here at Aptitude, part of our interview process is actually a scenario a lot like yours, Christopher. So we know it well enough that it's actually part of the your proficiency in doing that is part of what's needed to work here.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to play around, right? Like obviously maybe in a sandbox or without publishing anything, but they're so easy to build. Like the agent, when we said 15 minutes, the portal, I mean, it depends how, I know we talked about UX and how important that is, but if you have low requirements for that, like even the memberships piece can be thrown together pretty quickly. And then you get a little pilot program, you can pitch it to your higher ups or your peers at work and try to get that buy-in to get that project sort of accelerated, if you will.
Yeah, and showing it in a sandbox to the powers that be is a great way to, show them the possibilities and accelerate the development of it.
You make a good point there. You got to be careful though about the team adoption. Is a finicky thing, right? And if you put too much in front of folks, it can overwhelm.
Yeah, it's definitely that. Let's crawl before we walk and walk before we run.
That's it. Probably got time for one more question if anybody's got one here. We're working on at Digital Woods. Yeah, please, Suman, what do you got? Oh, two more in here. I'll answer Tori's first and then come to you, Suman, to close us out here. Tori's question, do you recommend starting a membership site with a theme and editing the theme or start from scratch? If you start with a theme, what do you recommend? I have my preferences, but I'll leave it to the two marketers in the room.
There's some really good themes out there. I will say that. There's some really good ones. Clean is one. Elements is one we've used a lot in the past. And a lot of people, the misconception is like, oh, if you get the theme, then like that's what it is. No, I mean, you can customize the theme and make it drastically different from what it looks like in the marketplace. So I would say theme. Omi?
I don't disagree, but it obviously depends on how picky your brand is about how things look and how much technical proficiency the person developing it has. So a theme gets you up and running quick and is very customizable. And of course, extensive customizations would require higher development skills. But custom, I don't love starting with custom just because of speed to market. But custom is if your brand is super, super picky and they want exactly what they want, then maybe custom would be the way to go. But you got to balance that out with you need a lot more time and technical proficiency.
The call out I have there about using themes is Clean Pro is a great one. There's about a dozen we worked with recently, but it's important to understand how many custom modules come in your theme, getting clarity there, and also the editable, because anytime you go to edit one of these themes, the first thing your developer will do is they'll just clone it and basically create a child copy of that theme that you can then edit and work with. In many cases, the modules are locked down for editing and stuff like that, so they can't actually edit it. And so you may pay more dev time than you think and having to basically rebuild the module because the developer of that theme or that template didn't make those modules extensible or able to be edited. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're doing your research. And I'll come back to Suman here to close us out. Their team has built something kind of advanced on top of the CMS where users can update notes, have a bi-directional file sharing, and it currently solves more than 80 plus community queries in HubSpot. That is fantastic. I'd love to learn more about that. Sounds really cool, Suman. And that's at Digital Woods, right?
Wow, that is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We'll check it out. Thanks for sharing that.
Not me logging in immediately creating Digital Woods portal.
All right, we are 1 minute over time. Thank you all so much for your time and attention today. It's been awesome, and we're really delighted to have you. Take care. We'll see you soon.